The City Council approved changes to the city's drought contingency plan. Senior neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens breaks down the changes and explains how they'll affect you. And a high-speed chase in Port Aransas has neighbors on edge. We have the latest on who was behind the wheel and what police say you should do if you see anything suspicious. And now we are taking a live look at our SPID Skycam. Looking pretty good so far. 6 o'clock in the morning right now, 55 degrees outside. We will check in with meteorologist Stephanie Lauber in just a bit. She has a look at your forecast and a closer look at the roadways this morning. It's Thursday, March 20th, and your Chris 6 Sunrise starts now. Good morning, folks. Welcome to Chris 6 News Sunrise, and thank you so much for waking up with us this morning. I'm Michelle Hoffman. Brian is off, but we do have meteorologist Stephanie Lauber in with us today. Thursday, almost Friday.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, I feel the Friday dance coming a little bit.
I know, I have the urge.
Well, you know what? It's been quite a week, and we're finally going to see a change in our weather pattern. Our weather pattern has basically been one that's brought us a lot of fire weather, so there is something to be excited about as we move through the next 7 days. But there's something to be excited about as you head out the door this morning. You might want to grab a sweater. It's a little cooler out there. We're not seeing that muggy air you can wear, so you probably don't need to waste the time running the defroster this morning. I think the commute overall is going to be friendly, aside from the coastal commutes where we still have windy conditions. But if you're heading over the Harbor Bridge this morning, we're looking A-OK along 181. Coming on into town, if you're coming down 37 or across 44, no trouble there, even as the crosstown comes into play. That interchange is running smoothly. From the Bay Area down to the south side, we have no trouble to tell you about here in terms of the traffic. And heading to NAS Corpus Christi this morning, we were a little sluggish on NAS Drive. Those speeds still around 15 miles per hour, but we're seeing improvements overall. At this point, the north gate is open if you want to take that alternate route. The rest of the bluff is looking pretty typical for this time of the morning, as is that ride out along the JFK Causeway, Park Road 22 and 361. So as you head out this morning, make sure you stay safe and you drive safe. That's a look at your traffic report. I'll have a full check on that forecast coming up in about 4 minutes.
Sounds good, Steph. Thank you so much. Now, we want to make sure you know about the new water usage rules that have gone into effect with some small changes to the city's drought contingency plan. Senior neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens shows us what they are and how Corpus Christi neighbors are going with the flow.
I know there is a plan, and I presume it's to save water, and that kind of stuff, but I don't know that much about it.
While some residents are still learning about the drought plan, others are already putting their own water-saving methods into action.
We have this little plant in our house to collect, like a dehumidifier, collects water, and then we take that bucket, we water our plants and do little things like that.
Some are getting creative, while others are following city mandates.
Under the revised plan, outdoor watering is still prohibited with sprinklers, but you can use a handheld hose or a 5-gallon bucket. Outdoor car washing is also still prohibited. You can't use a hose, but you can sure use that 5-gallon bucket. And when it comes to pools, filling and refilling is prohibited unless it's needed to prevent structural damage.
Other revisions to the drought contingency plan include a voluntary water shortage watch where residents are encouraged to water once a week. Drip irrigation for foundations and landscape beds is permitted every other week, and Stage 4 has now been renamed a water emergency. Despite the updates to the drought plan, many residents are still unsure about what's going on.
I don't know exactly what it is. I'm sorry to say. I don't watch the news very much. It's all too depressing. So,
especially the lack of water.
The lack of water.
Now, that was our senior neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens reporting. As the city continues to battle a historical drought, these changes could be just the beginning. One of the changes creating a lot of pushback from some neighbors has to do with monthly water usage and surcharges. The monthly usage for residents before surcharges kicks in has been changed from 3,000 to 7,000 gallons. For residential customers under Stage 3 restrictions, a surcharge of $2 kicks in for every 1,000 gallons above the 7,000 gallon threshold. Under a water emergency, which used to be Stage 4, Residential accounts would pay a surcharge of $4 for every 1,000 gallons above the 7,000 gallon threshold. Now, folks, to see what changes have been made to the city's drought contingency plan, go to our website, kristv.com, or scan the QR code on your screen with your smartphone to go directly to that page.
Of course, that drought, one of the three main ingredients in the fire weather forecast we've been tracking throughout the entire month of March. But finally, a weather pattern change is upon us starting today, and we're changing the season. Happy spring. We're finally there, and I'm looking forward to more sunny, beautiful views like the one caught by our weather watcher of the week. Have the wide view for yourself. This is from one of our frequent contributors, Michelle Renee Walters, coming in with this beautiful view of the birds trying to get some breakfast out there. So we love this view. Thanks so much for sharing it. And if you would like to be considered for our Coastal Bend Weather Watcher of the Week, you know what to do. Head on over to Facebook and join our group, Coastal Bend Weather Watchers. We'd love to see you there. But hey, you know what? Spring is also bringing a change in that it's a little chilly this morning. Check it out. Temperatures have dropped about 15 to 20 degrees as you head out the door. So I think it's fair to say you probably want a sweater before you step outside. Here's how things are looking in your neighborhood. We've got temperatures in the 50s, y'all. It is a different start on this Thursday morning, and it's breezy too, mainly for coastal neighborhoods. Inland neighborhoods, your winds have come down around 5 to 10 miles per hour, but that north wind is what brings in that cooler and drier air. That wind direction will be changing today for our benefit, so we'll keep an eye on it. But overall, dry air means no problems for visibility out there, so we're looking at perfect 10s across the board. Now, I'm sure many of you have been hearing the wind overnight. Don't worry, we're not going to have a completely windy day. Those wind gusts coming down as we head into the afternoon. So wind gusts around 15, 20 miles per hour heading into the middle of the day and for the ride home. No tug of war with the steering wheel as you head out the door or come home tonight. But look at that wind direction change from the northeast, eventually east, and then southeast. Southeast is the wind direction we want because it draws in humidity. And so we're not going to have enough of an improvement to really see any clouds today or much difference other than a beautiful afternoon here. We're getting into the lunch hour around 70 degrees and throughout the middle of the day, topping out in those middle 70s and feeling really nice with ample sunshine. Just remember to wear the SPF 30 or better. Now, for the folks who are wrapping up spring break, getting out there and enjoying this weather, we still need to be careful. That fire danger today, a 4 out of 5 for most neighbors across the coastal bend, very high. That will be the case in a more widespread way tomorrow, but here's the silver lining. Proof that we're seeing a change in the weather pattern. On Saturday, we dropped that down to a 2 or 3 out of 5 moderate to high fire danger on Saturday. It's not much of an improvement, but it is an improvement. In fact, moisture is going to be coming back to the forecast in a big way next week. And if we hold on to that for long enough, I do feel better about rain chances, not only just on Sunday, like we've been talking about, but heading into the middle toward the end of next week. So right now, we're targeting Sunday for our next best chance of rain, keeping an eye on the middle of next week, too.
A 17-year-old led law enforcement on a high-speed chase in Port Aransas Tuesday night. I'm Erin Holly, your Port Aransas neighborhood news reporter, and I'll tell you about the shockwaves this incident sent through this community.
And welcome back, everyone. It is 6:11 this Thursday morning. You're getting a live look at our Whataburger Skycam, looking at the Harbor Bridge. Looks like there aren't any slowdowns out there. Looking pretty good so far. 55 degrees outside right now. Of course, we will check in with meteorologist Stephanie Lauber in just a bit. She'll have a closer look at your forecast. But first, we have some neighborhood news.
I'm standing right here on the side of Highway 361, and right around in this area is where a car rolled over after a high-speed chase Tuesday night. I'm Erin Holly, your Port Aransas neighborhood news reporter, and neighbors here tell me they're shaken up by the incident.
Upside down, just like his life's about to be.
Those are the words of a neighbor in Port Aransas who shared this video of Tuesday night's high-speed chase and rollover accident.
Not even 2 seconds later, the car comes flying down Allister. I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, there's a high-speed car chase, and I just saw it.
Police say the driver was 17-year-old Tyler Ellis from the Austin area.
He was driving reckless. He was all over the place. And I was just praying that he wasn't going to hit anybody, because we have families and, locals. Everybody's out walking around. It's right when everybody's going home. It's a busy, busy time.
The chase began on the beach when an officer tried to make a traffic stop for speeding. The driver sped into a nearby neighborhood.
And all I saw was a police officer with a gun in his hand, and he was running, and I was like, you need to come outside. outside, and she went out there, and there was just 4 girls, and they were pulling them out, and I was recording. I always record everything.
Police handcuffed the 4 girls. One was reportedly carrying a backpack with 2 handguns, a loaded 40-round magazine, drugs, and cash. According to officers, Ellis sped down Highway 361, then crashed.
Now, it was just across the street from the stripes over here where the car veered off the side of the road over here and landed on its roof.
Ellis was taken to the hospital with unknown injuries. He's facing several charges, including evading arrest, reckless driving, and drug and weapons charges.
There are going to be those individuals that come to cause problems, but what people need to understand is that Port Aransas is not going to tolerate it.
This incident shaking up neighbors of all ages.
I mean, he almost hit us. I almost turned in the turning lane, and if I did, it would have been a head-on collision. Yeah. I'm so glad that she was in the car warning me, because I didn't even see it until he passed us.
Right. Port Aransas PD urges neighbors to call the number on your screen if you see anything suspicious. In Port Aransas, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Erin Hawley, Chris 6 News.
Hey there, good morning to you. The view from the CCAC camera out at Snoopy's is a little dirty, so it looks like it's hazy out there, but surprise, surprise, we are looking at perfect 10s for that visibility across the board, but another surprise, surprise might be how you feel when you step outside. We are cooler across the coastal bend, so you might want to grab a sweater before you head up and out the door. How big of a change are we talking about? All right, well, I know you hear the wind. The winds of change brought us that dust yesterday. There was another one that came through overnight and really cemented that cooler, dry air that's in place this morning. So this is the result. Temperatures versus this time on your Wednesday. We're about 15 to 20 degrees cooler depending on where you are in the coastal bend. Have the wide view for yourself. We get to as little as a 12-degree temperature difference. That's about as not different as we get for our neighbors in Port A. But 20 degrees cooler right now in Beeville, 15 in Robstown. That translates to a situation like this. Hey. That took a little bit longer to load than I thought. In your neighborhood, we're waking up to the 50s here across the board. That north wind still breeziest along the coast here. Port A looking at a 20-mile-per-hour wind that's sustained right now. But that north wind is the wind direction that brings in the cooler, drier air. That's why we're seeing the difference today. But as the wind direction changes heading into this afternoon, we're going to top out with some really nice weather. And our weather pattern is really kicking off in a different way that is going to benefit us. Finally, some really good news in the forecast. You can enjoy the nice weather and look ahead to what's to come. So perfect 10s for visibility, as I mentioned, haze not a problem, but we need more moisture back into the mix. So as we watch our winds slowly wiggle back down to more tame levels, we're also watching that wind direction change from the northeast, shifting from the east and eventually southeast. That is an onshore flow. It's not going to be the case for the entire evening and into tomorrow, but it's enough of a wind direction that when we get that east influence, it draws in moisture from the Gulf, and we need some more humidity in our forecast. It's still going to be a very nice day here as we cruise through the 50s into the 60s. On the flip side of lunch, we'll be walking our way into those lower 70s and eventually topping out in the middle 70s before it's all said and done. I think a high of 75 degrees is about par for us here in Corpus Christi. So no clouds today, plenty of sunshine. Make sure you're wearing the SPF 30 or better, and you still need to be careful with whatever plans you have around the coastal bend. Fire danger. We've been talking about this for the entire month, it seems, and we're still at a 4 to 5 for today. So we're not at the 5 out of 5. We're doing okay on the downward trend, but we still need to be very careful, especially into Friday, where we're still maintaining that 4 to 5. But here we go. The weekend brings a benefit. By Saturday, we're looking at a 2 out of 5 for most neighborhoods, moderate fire danger. And that's because more humidity will be on the way. In fact, muggy meter will be on the up and up so much, we're keeping our fingers crossed that if this humidity remains higher into next week, that could give us enough to bring some rain to the forecast. They're not huge rain chances, but Sunday is the next target for our next best chance of rain, again, heading into Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And here's a look at the 7-day forecast for our neighbors in Rockport and Kingsville.
Thank you so much, Steph. So auto theft is down around the U.S. Coming up on Sunrise, what popular cars are stolen here in the Lone Star State and what you should do if you find yourself a victim to auto theft. New data is set to be released today on existing home sales for February. In January, sales dropped by nearly 4%, with a little more than 4 million houses sold. The National Association of Realtors blames stubborn mortgage rates and high home prices for the decline, saying homes are just not affordable for many families. The home sales report is a major economic indicator about the health and overall trends of the housing market. A new report is set to be released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics today, detailing the employment status of the nation's veterans. Government data shows veteran unemployment was 4% in February, up from the previous month. The data comes as leaked memos show the VA is planning to lay off roughly 83,000 employees. More than 1 in 4 VA employees are veterans. So car thefts in the U.S. fell 17% last year, marking the largest decline in 40 years. The National Insurance Crime Bureau says close to 851,000 cars were stolen nationwide in 2024. That's a significant drop from the previous year, which recorded more than 1 million thefts. And it turns around a 4-year trend of rising numbers. The areas that saw the most car thefts were Washington, D.C., California, and New Mexico. Texas saw the second most total vehicle thefts in the entire country. The most commonly stolen vehicles in Texas were the Chevy Silverado 1500, GMC Sierra 1500, and the Hyundai Elantra. Now, if you do find yourself victim to an auto crime, CCPD suggests you do the following. Call the police and file a report immediately. Make sure to get a copy of your case number. If you have any further questions, contact the Criminal Investigations Division help desk at 361-886-2840. And if your vehicle is stolen and recovered, the recovering agency will contact you.
Hey there, good morning. We're taking the view from the First Community Bank camera. You know this one, it overlooks the Harbor Bridge, current and soon to be, and it sits atop the USS Lexington, so we get a pretty good view of how traffic is trending out this way. But you know, we haven't seen any troubles along 181 this morning, thankfully. So we're gonna head inland and take a look at how some of those more inland commutes are doing for neighbors who might be taking 281 or 77, which in our southern neighborhoods is looking pretty good. A smooth ride through Jim Wells County from Fremont up through Alice and Owl Ranch. And for those of you who are taking 77, maybe from Kingsville up into Nueces County along Bishop, Driscoll, Robstown, we're looking okay here. For our northern neighbors, if you're taking Highway 59 from George West to Beeville, no slowdowns all the way into the Victoria Crossroads. That's also the case for this stretch of 77 going through Refugio County as well. And zooming in closer, as we showed you a moment ago, we're looking good on 181. The Harbor Bridge is running smoothly. That's also the case coming into town, where the Crosstown interchange at 37 is looking A-OK. So as you head out this morning, make sure you stay safe and you drive safe. Your forecast is next.
Hey everyone, I'm Larissa Liska at St. John Paul II, one of the two teams battling in the Catholic Classic at Whataburger Field on Thursday. More on the Centurions' growth from last year to now in sports.
Now, weather on the 6s.
Hey there, good morning. We're taking in this live view overlooking SPID this morning, where we already have the busy bees up and at 'em today. But, you know, we are not seeing the haze this morning. That is a nice change. Yesterday we brought air you can wear, and then a couple of cold fronts came through, brought us some dust and a cooler start this morning. So wouldn't it just be perfectly timed if I told you today is the first day of spring? Started just after 4 o'clock this morning. So let's talk about spring, because we're also going to see a weather pattern change. All coincidental, but it lines up perfectly with the start of the season today. But we've kind of already been feeling the spring. So what's the difference between the two springs that you might consider, whether you're a meteorologist or not? Here we go. Take the wide view for yourself. Meteorological spring is really just something us nerds use for weather keeping. It's a nice way to keep the seasons beginning at the first of a month. So in this case, it goes from March 1st to May 31st. We use this for weather records, as I mentioned, but it's also based on the annual temperature cycle. For instance, meteorological summer starts June 1st. But astronomical spring is the one that I think most folks are familiar with. It's based on the position of the Earth in relation to the sun, where we are in our orbit and how our tilt is with relation to the sun. So the first day of spring can vary between March 1st, or March 20th, I should say, to March 22nd, and it can go until either June 20th, 21st, 22nd. So the number of days will also vary in the season. All this to say, we're off to the races when it comes to the warm-up that we'll be seeing over the next several weeks, but you don't feel it this morning because when you step out the door, those cold fronts we had yesterday really cooled us down. We have cooler, drier air still coming in on this north wind, but we're waking up to the 50s for most neighborhoods. A cooler start in Beeville at 48 degrees right now. We're warmer along the coast. Also a clue that we have dry air in place. Today we have that difference from coastal to more inland neighborhoods, but perfect 10 for visibility, so we're looking A-okay. Let's talk about the wind though. That's been very noisy overnight. We can look at how things are trending in your neighborhood, starting here with our Padre Island neighbors. 32-mile-per-hour wind gust off Granada Drive, 25 from Vortex 3 and 40 from South Padre Isle. Heading into the Fulton neighborhood, we're looking at a 16-mile-per-hour wind gust, 20 off Augusta Drive and 11 from Marion Drive. So yeah, it's been a pretty breezy evening, but those winds will be coming down as we head through this morning and into the afternoon. Check it out. By afternoon, we're focusing not on the wind speed, but on the direction. Becomes more southeast this evening. That's good. That draws in humidity from that direction. And while it's very, very small, we won't really notice the change at all. No clouds out there, plenty of sunshine as we move through the 50s, 60s, and eventually landing in the 70s after lunchtime. I think we top out in those middle 70s in a lot of neighborhoods. Here in Corpus Christi, I think for us our high temperature will be 75 degrees. So a beautiful day, but we still need to be careful. Fire danger is still very high, noted here in orange, a 4 out of 5 on the scale, but we'll be seeing those improvements slowly bringing this down. Tomorrow, we're still a 4 out of 5 for most neighborhoods, but Saturday, that's where we really start to see the changes in the weather pattern, and we'll see moderate, a 2 out of 5 on our fire danger scale. So we're almost there. But a lot of this has to do with the humidity, which won't rebound until the weekend. So as we see humidity come back in a big way, it looks to stick around next week. I don't see any major cold fronts, aside from the one we're expecting on Sunday, to really do anything to ruin this plan to get more water back in the air around us, because we need water in the air to make clouds, to make rain, and we definitely need rain. So our next best chance of rain doesn't look all that great, but it's there. Sunday, we'll keep my eye on that. And of course, Wednesday of next week, with all that moisture, we could be looking at a couple of rainy days at the tail end of next week, starting Wednesday and lingering into Thursday, possibly even Friday. That's a ways out, but it's something I'm keeping my eyes on here in the 7-day forecast.
This is your 6 Sports Report.
Hey everyone, I'm Larissa Liska at St. John Paul II High School, where the Centurions baseball program is gearing up for the Catholic Classic against Incarnate Word Academy. Now the Centurions are already off to a stronger start than last year. They did not win a game. This year, they're already 7-3, but it's their growth and hard work that have changed their season.
The best part is probably winning with them. You know, it's fun. It actually enjoy it out here.
Dietrich Lopez joined the Centurions over the offseason, adding a pitcher and infielder to their roster, choosing to play for his uncle, Mark Lopez.
Come a long ways from the beginning. Since the first practice, we could barely even get out there and warm up. Now we're getting it going. It's going good.
Lopez is in his second season of coaching at St. John Paul II. When he took over, players like Isaac Lopez decided to play catch again, something he had not done since T-ball.
This is probably like the best 2 years of sports that I've had ever. So, I mean, after that first year, I just knew I wanted to come back.
Senior Reed Schwing also stopped playing baseball as a kid, dedicating his time to school and altar service. His faith has renewed his love for the game.
Here, you're actually given an opportunity to play even if you don't know what you're doing. And that's just the beautiful thing about it. And even if you aren't that good, it doesn't matter to the coaches. Just as long as you're out there, you're trying your best and just having some fun.
Before and after every game, the Centurions recite St. Michael's Prayer.
Kind of to realize, like, you know, who we're playing for. We're playing for, you know, ourselves in the school, but also, you know, we have God on our shoulders, that we're also representing Him and the name on our chest.
By the power of God, cast in hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. St. John Paul II. Pray for us. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
The Catholic Classic between St. John Paul II and Incarnate Word Academy starts on Thursday at 5 p.m. at Whataburger Field. We'll see you there.
Hey there, good morning. The view from the CCAC camera out at Snoopy's, looking nice. It's a little dirty, so it looks like we're hazy out there. But if you subtract that from your point of view, we're looking good. A smooth ride over the JFK Causeway is exactly what the doctor ordered this morning. But make sure you don't forget your sweater because it's a little chilly out there. But you won't need to run the defroster at all. We'll talk about how the forecast is trending coming up. But right now, we're taking a look at the roadways starting out along the coast. 361 Park Road 22. And as you saw there, the JFK Causeway all moving smoothly. Taking us into the bluff, the approach to NS Corpus Christi is now unlimited. We're up to around 30 miles per hour, looking good on NAS Drive. The rest of the bluff's been a little busy earlier this morning, but it's a typical kind of activity, so nothing to worry about out of the norm. Around town from the south side up to the Bay Area, we're looking good, but a heads up to drivers who usually take the crosstown interchange to 37. We are seeing those typical slowdowns at this hour of the morning, backing up beyond Morgan. So you can cut through, take Laredo to Staples and catch 37 or 181 from there. As you head out this morning, make sure you stay safe and you drive safe. That's a look at your traffic report. Your forecast is coming up.
A local apartment complex caught soliciting fake Google reviews while facing serious crime concerns. Coming up, the story behind the stars.
More Americans are getting more money on their tax refunds this year. I'm Dan Grossman. Coming up, see why as we break down the numbers.
Now, say hello to your neighbors. This is your Chris 6 News Sunrise Shoutouts.
Hello, Chris 6 Sunrise team. We're Mariachi Sol Rojo from Robstown Early College High School, and we want to wish our neighbors across the coastal bend a great day.
What a great looking bunch over there. Well, we hope you all too at El Mariachi Sol Rojo. We hope you guys have a wonderful day as well. And folks, if you want to send us a shout out, scan the QR code on the screen or head on over to our website, christv.com.
From Chris 6, this is 20 minutes of non-stop news.
Yes, we are starting your 20 minutes of nonstop news with this live look from our Whataburger Skycam. Looks like traffic is picking up this hour. 54 degrees outside right now. As always, we will check in with meteorologist Stephanie Lauber in just a bit. But first, we have news from your neighborhood. We have an update on crime concerns at the Caspian Apartments in the Weber and Holly area. Police have released a video of a man who tried to burglarize one unit at the Caspian Apartments, and he was not able to get into the unit, though. Now, we have an image of the suspect. Police say they also collected DNA and fingerprints from the scene, but so far, no arrest has been made. Now, last month, we told you about some burglaries and a sexual assault at that complex. No arrests have been made in those cases either, and now residents were notified of the latest incident on Tuesday, and that's when residents found this letter on their front doors telling them about the attempted break-in. Meanwhile, another action taken by the complex is raising a lot of eyebrows. Neighborhood News reporter Tony Jaramillo has the story.
I'm Tony Jaramillo. On February 5th, we reported on a suspect wanted by Corpus Christi police after a string of crimes, including a sexual assault at Caspian Apartments. Now, the property manager is trying to fix their reputation online, personally requesting positive online reviews from friends and family. Screenshots from the property manager's personal Facebook page reveal an attempt to manipulate online reviews, not once, but twice. First, less than 2 weeks after our initial story, and again 3 days after our follow-up report.
You're wanting to build trust in a community. Asking for fake reviews is not the way to do it.
Google's review policies are crystal clear. Don't post fake content and avoid misleading information. Reba Gondera is a licensed realtor. She says apartment hunters absolutely rely on authentic reviews from sites like Google.
They look at the reviews before we even decide to go look at the apartments, because the reviews are important in regard to what the community who lives in those apartments or may no longer live in those apartments or live around those apartments are saying.
When we examined the reviews following these Facebook posts, a pattern emerged. Several reviews were posted by the same people who liked the property manager's Facebook post. One review reads verbatim to the manager's request. I'd leave a 6-star review if I could, but apparently that's not a thing. Someone fix this. Belinda is great. Caspian is the best. The numbers are equally alarming. Over the last 2 months, apartments, 36 reviews have been posted, 26 5-star reviews, and 9 1-star reviews. Notably, Caspian has replied to every single 5-star review, but only one of the 1-star reviews.
It definitely holds a lot more weight than if it was, you know, the corner store or something like that, because this is where you live. This is probably where your family lives.
Our investigation went deeper. Using AI, we analyzed police call logs from 2024, revealing a shocking statistic. Caspian Apartments had nearly 800 calls in 2024 alone, a number significantly higher than 3 neighboring apartment complexes combined. We verified the AI analysis and found property crimes accounted for 10 to 12% of the 796 calls made to this apartment complex in 2024. Burglaries made up around 25 to 30 calls. Thefts totaled about 20 to 25 calls, while trespassing was a recurring issue with 30 to 35 calls. In comparison, the 3 neighboring apartment complexes combined received less than half the number of calls. I brought these numbers to CCPD to find out why there seems to be more calls to this location.
We've had discussions with the management, and we've had meetings with them. We've come up with solutions, and they're working on some of those solutions.
We spoke with a representative of Caspian's ownership group. He didn't give us permission to use the audio I recorded, but says he wasn't aware of the solicited reviews, saying, quote, "I don't know how many reviews you're talking about, and I know we have a ton of good reviews that are normal reviews from, residents." The ownership representative suggested it may have been a misunderstanding. Quote, "Based on what I'm hearing, I don't think anything was done illegal or intentional or illicitly. I think it may have been done haphazardly in trying to follow directive and maybe not understanding all the protocol." Both the realtor we spoke with and the Better Business Bureau representative gave tips on how to spot artificial reviews. They say to look out for reviews that are overly positive or overly vague. And as of this recording, those reviews are still up. For 6 Investigates, I'm Tony Jaramillo.
Hey there, happy Thursday. We are walking into spring with a change in our weather pattern. It's a welcome change that we won't totally see come to fruition until the weekend, but it's already started, and that alone gives us a little hope. What am I talking about? We're going to stop being so dry and bring some moisture back to the mix, but it won't all get done today. Take the view over SPID this morning, and you might notice a change. Not quite as glowy for that light at the bottom right corner of the screen. So haze, not an issue. Visibility is a perfect 10 for everybody here across the board because of the cold fronts yesterday that brought us the dust and then the wind overnight, which is finally starting to make its way back down. We are drier and cooler this morning. You need a sweater as you head up and out the door. Temps in the 50s, but we'll rebound nicely this afternoon, as we tend to when we have dry air in place. But again, because we have that dry air in place now, we are still talking about fire danger. So let's talk about how dry things will be today. We're already starting off very dry. Normally when I show you this graph, we start off our roller coaster up here. Today, we're already very dry this morning with relative humidity around 30–40%, depending on where you are. This afternoon, it is going to be quite dry, around 10 to 15% relative humidity here in Corpus Christi. But our winds, those will be coming down and changing wind direction, coming more onshore. So that will help keep this graph from being too wavy. It'll help keep some humidity in the atmosphere. It's not a lot, but it's something, and improvements are on the way. So as I mentioned, the winds will be coming down, gusts will too, not as breezy of an afternoon. So if you've been securing things in the backyard so they don't blow away and these disrespectful winds, some relief is on the way. But we're talking about lots of sunshine in the forecast today. With drier air, you can expect a warmer afternoon. We'll go from the 50s to the 60s, and on the other side of the lunch hour, already on the doorstep of 70 degrees. I think many of us will top out with afternoon high temperatures in those low to middle 70s. But no matter what this beautiful weather brings you outside for, make sure you're still being mindful to not participate in any activities that could set off a spark or a fire, because fire danger is still at the top of the scale today, or just shy of it. A 4 to 5, very high fire danger. Tomorrow we can expect the same thing. But this is where we start to see the changes in our weather pattern on Saturday. Lower fire danger risk at 2 out of 5. Moderate shown here in blue. So that is really good. It's an improvement that we need, and all this moisture coming back to the forecast. Usually we don't want that when we're warm, right? No warm, humid weather. No, that's why we live in South Texas and we need some rain. We need water to get clouds and eventually rain. So this is a good thing. On Sunday, in fact, I think we could, fingers crossed, get a very quick chance of a shower here from Sunday, especially into Monday, with another cold front moving through. This one won't be very strong, so it's not going to dry us out as drastically, but it does lend to more rain chances later in the week. In fact, another opportunity for rain will come on Wednesday, and it's not shown here because it's so far out in the forecast. I've got to keep my eyes on it, but I think into the end of next week, Thursday, Friday might be a good opportunity for rain as well.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
In the 6 things you need to know, the Texas Senate has passed a bill that bans all forms of THC, the key ingredient in marijuana. In a statement, Lieutenant Government Dan Patrick said, quote, "I named SB 3 a major legislative initiative of mine because I will not allow retailers to circumvent the law and put Texans and especially children's lives in danger." End quote. This does not include CBD and CBG. Neighborhood News reporter Adam Beam has more on how SB3 will affect local business owner on our website, christv.com. An Austin teen is facing several charges after Tuesday's rollover crash in Port Aransas. Police say 17-year-old Tyler Ellis was behind the wheel and led them on a high-speed chase before speeding through a Port Aransas neighborhood. Ellis is charged with manufacturing and delivering a controlled substance, evading arrest detention with a vehicle, unlawful carrying of a weapon, evading arrest detention, and reckless driving. 4 others were in the car but got out before the crash. No word on if they will face charges. The Corpus Christi police will soon be able to purchase additional body cameras for their department. The city approved a grant during Tuesday's city council meeting, and that allows CCPD to purchase 68 additional body-worn cameras and related equipment. The city received funds from the 2025 body-worn camera grant that will go towards the body cams, and this purchase will bring CCPD's total number of body cameras to 448. U.S. Senator John Cornyn made a stop at the Port of Corpus Christi yesterday. He was updated on the Channel Improvement Project, which will allow larger vessels to enter the port. The senator says that will make the port an even bigger part of the global oil market. Mr. Cornyn expressed his support for the city's desalination plant and willingness to help it become a reality. Robstown High School's mariachi group took center stage yesterday during the Nueces County Commissioner's Court meeting. The group El Mariachi Sol Rojo competed at the Texas UIL State Mariachi Festival and received an excellent rating. This is the 10th consecutive year the band has been awarded for competing at the state level. So congratulations on behalf of all of us here at Chris 6. Registration is underway for the YMCA of the Coastal Bend San Antonio Spurs Summer Basketball League. The league is for kids ages 3 to 13. Registration ends April 28th. Late registration is from April 29th until May 18th, and the fee is $65 for members, $85 for non-members. The fee goes up for late registration, and of course, for more information, visit the YMCA of Coastal Bend's website.
Hey there, good morning. The view along SPID looking just fine. No haze out there to obstruct the view, and we're feeling cooler, so you'll want to grab a sweater before you head up and out the door. But we're starting to see those busy bees up on the roadways, but we're flowing smoothly. Something to keep in mind if you're getting ready to head up and out the door. So let's talk about some things to know before you hit the road. Your traffic headlines. We've got a couple things to talk about. First, as I mentioned, it is cooler this morning, and it is still breezy, especially for the coastal commutes, 361. It's going to be a little breezy out there, but this evening we're looking at a much better kind of situation. Less wind, nice afternoon into the evening, so it might be windows down kind of weather. If you're taking Staples and McCardle today, they're doing some traffic light work out there, so be careful. Expect some lane closures. As an alternate, you could take Everhart. There is some construction there, but I'll leave that one up to you. But if you're heading out right now, drive time's looking pretty typical for this time of the morning. Heading into downtown from the island will take about 25 minutes. Coming across A181 over the Harbor Bridge, just over 10 minutes for you there. And the commute for our neighbors coming in from Calallen, a 15-minute ride. So as you head out, make sure you stay safe and you drive safe. That's a look at your traffic report. Your forecast is ahead.
Steph, thank you so much. So there's just under a month to go if you still need to file your returns before you get penalized. The average American is getting hundreds more on their tax refunds this year, and that's according to the latest IRS data. Dan Grossman explains why the uptick and what it could mean for your finances.
To adjust for inflation, the IRS raised both the standard deduction amount as well as tax brackets. It has led to larger tax refunds for Americans, despite the fact there are fewer people who have filed their tax returns this year compared to this time last year. just going to put this disclaimer out there. If you owed or owe the government money on taxes this year, I'm sorry. Please don't kill the messenger when I say the average American is taking back more cash from Uncle Sam via tax return this year.
There's reason to believe that we'll continue to see higher tax refunds going forward.
According to IRS data, the IRS has returned $145 billion since the start of the current tax season, more than a 7% increase from this time in 2024. The average individual refund is also larger. In the sixth week of tax season last year, it was $3,145. In the sixth week of this year, refunds have averaged $3,324. For direct deposits, people are also getting bigger returns this year than last.
Even though we really like these big tax refunds and it can feel good to get a windfall and put them towards high interest debt and all that sort of thing, in theory, you don't want to get a giant refund because it essentially means that you have given the government an interest-free loan.
The biggest reason for the increase is the standard deduction, which the government raised by $750 for single filers, $1,500 for joint filers, and $1,100 for heads of household. The bump was to account for higher prices due to inflation. Tax brackets also changed, so some folks got to keep more of their money, even if their income didn't change.
That is not free money. That's money you earn throughout the year, and so you shouldn't just go spend it on a frivolous purchase.
Andrea Warrock is a consumer spending expert and says even though it might feel like a big payday, the best thing you can do is put that money towards savings and high-interest debt.
We saw balances hit all-time highs at the end of Q4. So if you're paying high interest, maybe 20% or more on that credit card balance, using that tax refund can help you pay off a bunch of debt quickly.
Dan Grossman, Scripps News Group.
All right, now check out this terrifying moment out of Atlanta. A driver dodges a powerful lightning strike. A slow-mo replay shows bolts of lightning pounding the interstate just as the driver swerves to avoid them. The Southeast saw plenty of severe weather recently, and Atlanta was littered with stunning lightning strikes caught on various cameras across the city. But this close encounter was a little too close for comfort, right? So scary. Oh, my goodness.
I was going to say, when I saw this video on social media, I was like, this is Florida. No doubt this is Florida. Turns out, close enough, Georgia. But Atlanta, I wasn't totally surprised for that. But it is interesting, Florida being the lightning capital of the world. I felt a little jealous. But yeah, we could use some rain. I don't know if we need the lightning like that, but we could definitely use some rain in the forecast. And everybody else seems to have gotten it just up the coast. If you ever take a ride on 77, you notice it starts to get greener as you head towards Victoria Crossroads. We need some of that.
Yeah.
We need to borrow it.
My lawn is dying, but thanks to the new restrictions, we can now water lawns with a hose.
And I've been using my dehumidifier as it gets humid. I'm dumping that rain out on the grass, and now I have a bunch of dandelions I got to pick.
Smart.
So, Mother Nature is going to help us out, though, really soon, and I think that's something to get excited about. She must have just been waiting for the first day of spring, I guess.
Exactly.
Here we are. So heading up and out the door, we're feeling the change of the season and how cool it is. Much cooler on this Thursday as you get your day started. You might want a sweater before you head out the door. I'll just say it. Your mom would tell you, ponte un sweater. It's 50-something degrees out there. Depending on where you are, it's 52 in Corpus Christi, 55 in Port A, 53 in Kingsville, and the cool spot, Beeville, holding on to 46 degrees. And that's on account of that cooler, drier air behind our north winds. Those have been breezy overnight. I know my wind chimes were really dancing in that wind overnight, but we're finally starting to see that come down a bit. NAS Corpus Christi still reporting a north wind at 26 miles per hour, but improvements on the way. Perfect 10 for that visibility out there. So let's talk about how dry and windy it'll be, because of course those are the two major things we talk about for fire danger, the third being the drought we can't do anything about. But we are looking at a very dry day ahead of us because it's already a really dry morning. 34% relative humidity is very low for so early in the day. So thankfully it's not going to be as dry as yesterday, and it's not going to be as windy as yesterday. So as you might imagine, there are improvements in the forecast. But in case you were wondering when that wind was going to come down, we'll say around the lunch hour we'll be done with those very strong gusts. Wind direction also changes, becoming more onshore as we go throughout the day. So that's good. That'll help keep us from getting too dry this afternoon, but it also makes for a really nice day. Getting through the 50s, the 60s, and eventually, as we head into the heart of the day, I think we top out in those middle 70s overall, looking for a really nice afternoon here across the coastal bend. But as you enjoy that weather, please be careful. Fire danger today is still going to be a 4 out of 5 for most neighbors, 3 out of 5 for those of you in yellow who are more inland. Tomorrow, yes, still talking about fire danger too. It's Saturday. The weekend brings the benefit of our change in weather patterns, so our fire danger will be much lower on Saturday at 2 out of 5. All of this because our humidity is on the rise. It'll be back next week, and it looks to stick around. That's the change in our weather pattern, is that we're not going to have change after we get our return, our onshore flow. So once that humidity is here, it looks like it's going to stay through most of next week. Rain chances look really good. Well, as far as any rain happening, they look decent enough for me to be excited about it for Sunday, and heading into the middle of next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we could be looking at rain showers of more than one day in a row.
Ooh.
This is pitiful that I'm so excited about this, but it really is we have had no rain at CCIA during the month of March.
Yeah, fingers crossed, guys. We got to do our rain dance for sure tomorrow,
yes,
as we do our Friday dance, because this is what we want and this is what we're waiting for.
Yeah, and it's worth it with the humidity. I mean, everyone wants to get their yard looking nice, right? It's all crunchy and brown.
Exactly.
It'll also help with the fire danger.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Steph. And folks, thank you guys for joining us this Chris 6 Sunrise. We hope to see you later with more news from your neighborhood. I'll be on at noon.
Yep, and we'll see you tomorrow morning just in case.
Bye.